get it. No worry. You need to start further out. You know, when you go into this first cone, go to the left and then bring it to the right, and then start dipping. You're using the brake now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And try to look at the very last cone. It looks to me like you're looking down at the cone.
Right,
yeah. If you keep your head up, you'll see the other ones with your vision. I wanted to get this rider really dipping the motorcycle, so I set up the MSF type small cones, and I set them at 12 feet apart to try to get him to turn those bars quickly from left to right, right to left, to get that bike dipping. It took about 30 minutes before he got the hang of it with the small cones, and now I add the larger cones, but they're 15 feet apart. If you don't dip the bike here, you're going to wind up hitting the cones and knocking them over with the bags. As you can see here, he's really starting to dip the bike, still using too much throttle and brake, but that's the least of his worries. We worked on the slow cone weave for a good hour. Now we move to the offset cone weave, and I've got the cones spread pretty far apart. Normally they're 24 feet from inside cone to inside cone, but I've got them set probably at 30 feet now. It took him about 12 times to get through this without error. Still using too much clutch, or rather too much throttle and too much brake, but he's starting to lean the motorcycle and he's starting to turn his head. When he gets close to the green cone, as he should, he doesn't have a problem. I'm also yelling turn each time he needs to turn those handlebars the opposite way to give him an idea of when he should turn the bars. These are S-shaped turns.
Turn.
Without the S, you'll never make it through. We spent a good hour on the offset cone weave. I've now narrowed it down so that there's 27 feet from inside cone to inside cone. Eventually, we'll get it down to 24 feet from inside cone to inside cone.
Turn.
At times, he's absolutely perfect. Other times, yeah, not so much. But the closer he gets to that green cone, the more room he has to make these turns. I'm still having to yell turn each time to get him to turn those bars.
Turn.
Next, we move on to the intersection. I've got it really wide at 30 feet, so each of the U-turns is a 30-foot U-turn. And I believe what we call his light came on here. He starts leaning the motorcycle. He starts really getting close to those green cones. Not always. In fact, it's always on this turn where he misses it a little bit. Right there, he missed it by 5 or 6 feet, but he still manages to make the U-turn. Right away, I narrowed it down to 27 feet wide. Our goal eventually is 24 feet. And again, he misses by 4 feet there, but he still makes the turn. That means he doesn't realize it, but he's actually making 20-foot turns at times. So he's leaning the bike, he's turning his head, and when he gets close to that green cone, he makes it easily every time with plenty of room to spare. Now I've added circles to 2 of the legs. If he makes it through here, I know he's really starting to get it. Now he misses the green cone by 4 or 5 feet, but watch this, he winds up making about a 20-foot circle. That's pretty good. I'm very, very happy that I gave him this one-on-one lesson. Tomorrow we'll have a regular class, and we'll see how he does with that. Watch this now, he's actually going to scrape the pegs for a split second. This is now the 3rd day of training, so we're looking at about 7 or 8 hours total of training with Nigel, and his improvements are really amazing. This is a guy who was so scared to lean the bike, he tried to do everything straight up. He understands now how the lean allows the motorcycle to turn much tighter. He's not perfect, but that's not the point of these lessons, to make you perfect. You got to get perfect on your own after you know exactly what to practice. That's what Nigel knows now. He needs to practice on his own, but he was able to get through every exercise, including the Snowman, which I'm going to show you in a little while. That's usually the most difficult exercise for most people because there's so many cones in a confined area. But he knows how to handle his motorcycle now. He knows how to use the friction zone. He's not afraid to lean the motorcycle any longer. In fact, occasionally he'll even scrape the pegs. Now, this is a regular class on Sunday. He's able to go with the other riders. without a problem. Still, like I said, occasionally makes a mistake, but that's just the way it is. Even this rider, who happens to be very good, who practiced prior to coming to the class, he occasionally made a mistake as well. But this is where you want to make your mistakes, and you want to correct them here. You don't want to make the mistakes out on the road, because there you just got one shot at it. You make a mistake out on the road, drop your bike, somebody comes up behind you and runs right over you. Don't let that happen to you. Learn these techniques. Head and eyes, friction zone, little pressure on the rear brake. Even someone with so many problems just a few hours ago is able to do every exercise now without error. Here's Nigel going into the Snowman. Like I said, many people consider this the most difficult exercise because there's so many cones in confined area. This first circle was 30 feet. This one is 26 feet to the right. And the last one is 24 feet to the left. Tracks right alongside the cones as he should, and he makes it through without error. In case you missed the first video I did with Nigel, this is from that video 1 week ago. Afraid to lean the motorcycle, trying to turn with the bike as straight up as possible. Really, every mistake that you could possibly make, he was making. But he was determined to get better. A lot of times riders in this situation will quit and you never see them again, and they'll never get any better. That wasn't the case with Nigel. He had the will, and I had the way.
There's 2 gates.
Here he is now in today's class, the same exercise. Good speed, turning his head and eyes. Able to make it through all the exercises without a problem. Maybe not the first time through the exercise, but the second or third time through, he'd get it right. He'll only get better from here.